Welcome back to DIY Accountant. Now that we've finished our kitchen island, we're going to look at the different types of laminate flooring and how we can lay them in our snug, which has become an absolute dumping ground mess. Let's get to it. Okay, now we know the blank canvas we've got to deal with. Let's have a quick look at the tools we're going to need. First up, if you've got bad knees and you need to lay flooring, get yourself some knee pads. They will be vital, although you're a bloke, wear leggings because these straps do like to rip out your leg hair. Using power tools, so always have your goggles ready. Going to need to take measure, of course. Rubber mallet. Don't use any metal hammers or anything because you will chip and damage your floor. Always go for a rubber mallet. They're not too expensive, so even if yours is knackered like this one, just get a new one. Jigsaw. This is just for cutting the flooring when you've got any awkward corners around radiator pipes, or for us making our way around the fireplaces. We just need to cut out small corners of the flooring. And then one of these, which I don't know the name of, but if you just go into B&Q and look up floor fitting kit, this literally clips over the edge of your laminate panel, and then you hit this piece here, and it helps just push them together and get a nice tight finish. I would always go for the ones that have this piece here to hit. There are some that just have this piece here at a right angle to hit, but using them in the past, I found they always bend, they always break, and they never quite get to the end of the task. So this one was slightly more expensive, probably only about 15–20 pounds, but it's a lot better. And usually when you buy one, it will come with floor spacers as well. The floor spacers are important if you've already got your skirting boards in place and you're working up to them, because it allows you to leave an expansion gap around the side that you would then cover with beading. We didn't need these because we've not yet fitted our skirting board, so we could work right up to the edge, just leave a couple of centimetres around the edge that we know would just be covered with the skirting board. So these weren't required for our job. And finally, if you are making a lot of cuts, I recommend a miter saw, which is what we used. You can get away with just using the jigsaw, but if you've got a nice clean cut you need to make for the herringbone floor, I'm going to recommend that you either borrow or purchase a track saw, and we will come to show you why shortly. In this next video, you're going to see the room that we're dealing with, which now just has a concrete screeded floor, as it was part of our knock-through for our extension. So we've just got some areas to tidy up around the edge, but overall we've pretty much got a blank slate, which is going to be quite easy to work with. Let's check it out. This is the room we're dealing with that has become a total dumping ground for tools. But it didn't take us long to get everything out of the room and hoover up all of the rubble. I then went round with a bolster chisel and just took any bits of concrete off the fireplace that were going to be in our way. We then meticulously hoovered again because any lumps and bumps will be in your way. We used a fibre board insulation that we staggered and taped the joints, which is suitable for our underfloor heating. There's lots of arguments to use something like a moisture-backed board for the concrete, but this has been down for a couple of years and we know it's fully dry, so I see no issues with using the fibre board. Sometimes these boards have a bulge in them, so just make sure that the bulge is facing up so that it gets flattened by the floor and you don't have those curled edges which can cause issues. When working round obstacles, it's quite easy to put a piece of wood on the board, score it with a knife and just snap it. Okay, now you've got your tools. The only one I didn't mention is probably like a bolster chisel, just if you need to remove any concrete from around the edges of the room. So now let's look at the types of flooring we've got. The one we've gone for is a Howden's herringbone laminate flooring 8mm. It comes in pretty short lengths. I will say when you get it, leave it in your room for a couple of weeks first, just so it acclimatises, does any expansion or contraction it needs to do before you fit it. You can also go slightly more upmarket and get, this is an engineered wood flooring, so it's got more of a plywood base, and then just the top layer is the real wood flooring. It does allow you to sand it about 3 times within its life, so if you do get any scratched or damaged, that's a good option. Also, if you want one of those fancy floors that has the beading and then an outside border, this is a much better option because you can get a router on this and reroute the line for your second piece to attach to. That is not a suitable option for the thinner 8mm laminate flooring, so despite what the B&Q video shows you, don't do it, because when it expands and contracts, you're going to get gaps between that beading and the laminate flooring, and it is going to look terrible. Okay, so once you've purchased your flooring, you've left it in your room for a week or two, so it's acclimatised, you then need to pick the design that you want to lay it out. So when you get your planks, the most traditional option is to go lengthways and stagger by 1/3 of the plank each time. So you clip your first two together, and then you would stagger by 1/3, so you have a line 1/3 of the way in, a line of 2/3 of the way in, and by the time you're on your 1, 2, 3, 4th row, you're back in line with where you started. This makes quite a nice pattern throughout the room. It's what we've done in our front room with the engineered wood flooring that I showed you previously. I have seen previously some people only do a half step, but I'll be honest, by the time you get all the way through the room, if it's a large room, it looks quite bad by the end. And I have read some comments around it not really allowing much room for the floor to move, expand and contract, so people have ended up with issues before anyway. So I think the best option is to stagger it by 1/3. This flooring is designed to be in a herringbone pattern, so you have, when you get your floor, a side with a lip and a side with no lip. If you flip it around the other way, it is the opposite. When laying it in your room, you always want to make sure the lips are all going in the same direction. With the flooring, you can accidentally bang them together without it going in the same direction. It's an easy mistake, but just make sure that you continue to have it all going in the same direction so they slot together nicely. You should feel when they click together, to be fair, so it shouldn't be too hard to do. So as I said, just making sure all of those lips are facing in one direction. You can easily slot the floor together, and as we follow this herringbone pattern through the room where you make a mistake. So that's the design that we are going for, and we have decided so that as you walk into the room, it continues out into the kitchen. So we've just lined up our points here with a grout line in our kitchen, and we've done a second chalk line in line with these points here, so that as we lay that first row, we can make sure that we are continuing and we're not veering off at an angle or sliding to the side. And as we get into the room, we just have that single point of line all the way through into a kitchen grout line that then carries on. So important just to mark out those two chalk lines. If you don't have a chalk line, you can just put a laser line on there just to make sure that all of those points line up all the way through as you're laying the floor. Okay, so when looking at the pieces that you've got, this is what you're going to have. You're going to have the larger lip and you're going to have the smaller lip there. It's quite easy to slot these together by hand, just by taking a small edge and a long edge, giving them a bit of a shimmy, and they lock together. You can feel them go flat once that has occurred, but you do end up with a small gap down the middle here. So this is where this tool would come into play. You've got the felt base to it, so you're not going to damage the flooring at all. And you're going to put it over the edge of the wood. When putting it over the edge, if you were to put it all the way over this lip here, you risk damaging that lip when you hit it. So what I do is I just tuck it over, so it's just sat on top of the lip like this. I apply some of my body weight to the top, not enough that you're going to break this lip, but enough that it's not going to jump off. And then using your mallet, you would hit this piece here, so that these two then close together and it just shrinks that gap. You'll be able to see it with your eyes when you do make the hip, just having that small 1mm gap just close up nicely so you don't get any gaps at all in the flooring, and it's a nice tight finish. You'd do that when you're doing it lengthways, but also when you're doing the herringbone finish and you've got yours staggered like that, also just do the same hit in this direction, so you're not just closing up the ends, you're closing up the sides as well. Now you've got an idea of how to click it together, honestly don't be scared and just have a go at starting. My wife's here just putting some together. A lot of people suggest doing triangles and taping those together, but we didn't find this was the easiest way to start. Instead, we did the first few rows and then ran a track saw down there to cut our triangles out. This gave us a really satisfying moment where we could push our floor over to our join with our kitchen. From here we could continue through the room using the off-cut triangles at the ends. The triangles that we cut out ended up fitting perfectly at the end, which was a result, and we did get all the floor finished within a day. We then put the sofa back, put the fire on, put the Xbox on, and chilled out.